Hey guys, this is Anon, and today I've got some gameplay on the Lttb, the Tier 7 Russian light tank. And I decided to go ahead and feature this tank today just because it is a hot topic at the moment. It was just nerfed in the last patch, and the gameplay today is actually going to be from before the nerf. But in my opinion, it doesn't really change the gameplay of this tank a whole lot. It just affects kind of its performance slightly. So to me, this is still completely relevant because you're going to play it exactly the same way. It's not going to change any of that. The only time you're going to run into issues, I think, are against some more highly armored vehicles that you're going to have a little bit harder time penning the front of. And I feel like part of the differences too is in these videos I'm actually using the Top Gun, which was nerfed the heaviest, and a lot of people were already using the second gun, or the gun below that, because of the gun depression. So we're trading off. I have a little bit more DPM and pen here than the current version has, but I don't have the gun depression that you will most likely be using, and that's the gun I definitely recommend right now. So this tank has really instills strong feelings with a lot of people because it's really unique. Yes, it's a light tank, but it's a light tank that isn't really a light tank. It's got the speed and mobility with just breakneck speed, insane power to weight ratio, but it has a lot of armor, both in the turret and the hull. In fact, it's got more armor than most medium tanks at this tier, and even some tanks above this tier. So you can play it in a lot of different roles. You can run around like your hair is on fire and scout, or you can play it like I'm doing in this battle, which is really more of a frontline scout, but I can also stick around and shoot because I can bounce a lot of shots that come in on me because I'm high tier. So very, very unique combination that makes this tank very, very good. And I'm not going to cry about the nerf on it because I do think it was a little overpowered before. You could make the argument that it's still overpowered. The combination of armor and speed is really fantastic. It balances just a little bit in the fact that the gun is not very good at all. It's pretty troll. Dispersion isn't great, aim time isn't great, but because you can avoid being shot so much, there's some balance to it. And I think that because of that speed and armor, you really have to have a weak point. If it had a fantastic gun, it would just be beyond overpowered, even with having some questionable penetration values. So you can certainly make use of its strengths while limiting a fairly small weakness, in my opinion. So like I said, extremely unique, and this game I think is unique also, and I let it just kind of run because there's not a lot of tanks you can run as kind of this frontline tip of the spear kind of thing, and that's why it's just super, super unique. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that through just because I can talk about it a little bit. And this next game I think is going to show a little more accurately how most people are going to play it. The speed on this makes it so incredibly fun to drive. It's just so amazingly fast that you can be really aggressive with it. And I think it's a little bit forgiving in that sense, because if you make a mistake and get yourself overextended, which a lot of players do, it's easy to do. This has the speed to get you out of those poor situations, and at the same time it also has the speed to really, really push a weakness on the other team. So here on Lost Temple I pop up because I have that armor to play on the temple steps, but fairly quickly because of this matchup, because I don't see anything almost instantly, I push straight on through because I want to try and catch anything that's kind of lingering behind, and this isn't something you can do in very many tanks. A lot of people do it in the Dracula. There's a reason Draculo has become kind of a trending term for Blitz, but I think the Lttb can actually do it better because it has that armor to kind of support it and can move around just as quickly. So because I've pushed this flank really hard, I ran right into two tanks. I'm picking on this Churchill 1 a little bit, who shouldn't even be in this game. And it certainly isn't a priority target because this isn't a very dangerous tank, but at the same time I can get a gun out of the game super quickly, and I know that KV-1S isn't going to get away too quick, so I can go ahead and get rid of him and go ahead and push forward to the next tank. And already we've got this huge pincer maneuver going on that if my team was doing a good job, this would be a really simple, quick win. But unfortunately they're not, and that's okay because the other team pushed through really hard too, and our team spread out a little bit too much. but that's the kind of thing that happens in pub matches, so you just kind of have to deal with it. So I've done exactly what I want to do, and I've pushed the flank so hard that I was able to get rid of 2 tanks right off the bat, while taking no damage at all, which is always an ideal situation. We honestly should be up 2 tanks right now, but actually we're down 1. So that's why I can keep kind of pushing through, and I, again, play it really aggressively because we're in this pincer move, but at the same time, we're down so many at this point. I want to give myself a way out, because it's pretty clear that we're going to struggle, and this is probably going to be a 1-burst situation. But again, I've got the armor to really play these areas, and here's something you can't do in most light tanks, is I'm actually going to set up against this Easy 8 in a side scrape. And you can do it in other lights, but it doesn't mean it's going to work very well. I've had tanks do it, and you just overpower or overmatch the side armor so quickly because it's thin. But the Lttb is not like any other tank. So I can get rid of him, and we've managed to tie it up, which is pretty fantastic. And I turn because the Dracula has started to run away, and that is an extremely dangerous tank. Something I would really like to whittle down a little bit before the late match. And just like I predicted, I'm in a 1-3 situation. But I've put myself to the right of the other 2 tanks and put myself in a position where I can try and take out this Dracula. If I can take out the Dracula, it's a pretty easy win. Get a little bit unlucky with it. And because he's dropped down with the other 2 tanks, I don't want to YOLO in and fight 3 at a time. That's just not very smart. So I'm going to go ahead and relocate. And this is where the quality of this tank really shines. Even the Dracula is not going to be able to catch me in a situation like this. So I really have the time to go ahead and relocate and put myself in an advantageous position. I actually feel so strong about it. I do something that's completely uncharacteristic to me, and that Fury's talking a little bit of trash. I go ahead and do Babe Ruth style point to the fences here and call the win. I don't think I've ever done that before, but I think it's you can tell how strong this tank is, and I felt that confident about it because I know the Dracula is a one-shot. I don't know where the Nashorn is at, and I think the Jumbo is full health, but still I go ahead and call it, because also I now had the time and I relocated, and now I'm in just a fantastic position. I can see tanks coming up at me. Yes, the Jumbo's at full health, and that's a dangerous tank, but I have the speed to kind of run around now that that tank destroyer gun is gone. So I was trying to get a shot into the Jumbo as he rolled down. I didn't even know if it was possible, but I wanted to go ahead and do it. The Dracula has done me a favor and shown up, but unfortunately, again, that gun handling comes into light there a little bit, and then it misses. It's a tank that misses a lot. I've had fairly good RNG in this round, but I was also letting it aim fully, so that's pretty good. But I go ahead and come off of my position that I really wanted, and that's because that Dracula can't get away. That's a dangerous tank even as a one-shot. Now I'm out of AP. Jumbo is right in front of me. I've got a Carcass in front of me also, and I'm not worried about it because I can bounce stuff off this turret. So now it's a matter of just getting rid of him, because this is a completely unfair matchup. And this is why I think this armor is just slightly unfair and unbalanced for a light tank. No light tank should be able to bounce quite this much. But it is what it is, and it does have its downsides, like I said, with the full gun. So perfect kind of game, in my opinion, of how to utilize this tank. There's a big difference between just YOLOing out, which people, I think, tend to do too much in these lights, and using your aggression more in a controlled environment. So that's what I was hoping to show here a little bit. So hopefully this helped, and take care, guys.